We're joined this morning by Dr. Matt Hubbard, candidate for mayor in the city of Sylacauga in the mayoral election coming up, municipal election coming up in, I guess, about 3 weeks now. And Matt, good morning.
Good morning, Jimmy Dale.
Good to have you with us today. And of course, with school just starting, you were counting your days in education. That goes back a few years, doesn't it?
It does. I had 32 first days, opening days as a professional educator, and then of course you go back to your time as a student in those days. So, I think I was around 49.
So, how does that help you in your quest for the mayorship here in Sylacauga, being in education as you were?
Well, it's being a professional educator and specifically professional administrator in public education. There's a lot of correlation there between doing that administrative job with the public and what the mayor's role is with the public. The mayor is basically the administrator of the city over all the municipal departments and so forth. And so I was in those leadership roles, administrative roles, for 20 years. And did it at 3 different levels as an assistant principal, and then an executive director over operations. So it's kind of like, with athletics, with sports, you see a lot of correlation to real life lessons being learned on the field and through teamwork and those type things. There's a lot of correlation from being a public school administrator to a elected municipal leader.
Talk about some of the correlations in depth a little bit more this morning.
Just working with the public in general. As an educator, you're working with students, you're working with employees as adults, you're working with parents, and then you're working within the confines of that organization as well. And within any organization, you're going to have policy, procedure, rules, regulations, and that type. Same thing with municipal leadership. We have our municipal departments. You have department heads. Each department's going to have its own, little nuances and their own type procedures, if you will, about how they go about doing business. But it's still within the organization of the municipal government. And so that's why last time I was on, I talked about going in and looking at efficiencies. Mm-hmm. Every department's going to have standard operating procedures within that respective department. So in each one of those, you're going to look at what's called key performance indicators, those KPIs. And when you look at how well you're performing at each indicator, you're going to get an efficiency rating out of that, and that lets you know how well those tax dollars are being spent. But it's still, going back to the leadership side of it, you have the experience of dealing with public money, dealing with the public in general, and
that's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, absolutely. When you're principal of any public school in Alabama, you're responsible for every penny that flows through that building, whether it's public monies or non-public money. And so you learn real quick how to manage that money. You stay on top of those revenues coming in, you stay on top of those expenditures going out, you look at those encumbrances, what you have, what's still encumbered to go out. So all of that translates well to municipal funds and public money as well.
Speaking of monies, you were a part of a fundraising effort with the ARC a week or so ago, and I have to say your jail attire was something else.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Jimmy Dale. I don't want that to be the norm. I don't want to get comfortable in those clothes, but that was a wonderful event that night. And Miss Leah Allen and her team at the ARC, they do a wonderful job, and that is you can't think of a better cause than the ARC, and just everything that those people mean to our community and to their families and so forth, to be part of a community that supports that type of effort, to give, to give back and to provide better opportunities. I think it's wonderful. It's great. And I'll be honest with you, the first 2 hours of that fundraiser, it started at 4, and from 4 to 6, it was nonstop. People coming through, and course, you know, it was a double fundraiser. They had the food part
Right.
of it, then they had the bail and the donation part side of it. And for 2 hours, it was nonstop. Folks were coming in, and that's where you really see the spirit of Sylacauga. You see the spirit of our community coming through, and of course, you know, we see that through the school system, you know, on a daily basis. And so it's those type things that you know, you really wish as a leader that the majority of our community can see and understand and feel that sense of camaraderie and community at those events. And so I just, you know, I encourage everyone, you know, when we have those type events, get out, take advantage of it, and enjoy being part of a small town or, you know, a small city in our community.
This is your first attempt at public office. What have you learned once you decided you were going to run for the mayorship?
Oh wow, I've learned a lot, Jimmy Day. You know, like you said, I'm a rookie at this. This is my first go at it, and you know, the timing of when you announce, the timing of when you start knocking on doors, because my goal was to knock on every door in Sylacauga. We have about 4,500 homes here in Sylacauga. And last week we went over 2,100 doors that we've knocked on. Now, I don't think, you know, numbers wise that we're going to be able to knock on every door in Sylacauga. So if we haven't knocked on your door, I apologize for that. Again, that's a rookie mistake. And but you know, the thought is there, the effort is there, the want to is there. And if anyone has any questions for me, you know, when I first started, I put my personal cell phone number out for everyone to see, and my personal email. So transparency, openness, you know, anyone who wants to contact me is more than welcome. And of course, I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible on that. But I've learned a lot on the finance side of it as well too, because I was a little late filing some of those forms on the campaign finance side of it. So I paid you. There's a late fee you have to pay when that happens. So I paid that late fee, got all that caught up. I still have some in kind that I've got to get put in there. In other words, the money that I've personally put into my campaign. So
you really believe in what you're saying, this total transparency, don't you?
Absolutely. I mean, I lived it through the public education side of it, and you know, and so you see, you learn early in leadership that what's right may not always be fair, and what's fair may not always be right. And when that happens, that's when you start looking to create better policy. And so, you know, did that through the school system, and we had success with that. And I always felt like we were keeping up with the latest trends and so forth. Same thing that we'll have to do in the mayor's office, and that's on the judicial side, if you will, making sure that we've got the properly written ordinances, and we've got ordinances that can be enforced. That's the big thing. And then the ordinances like that we do have on the books, say, I'll just throw this out there, say we'll take animal control, for example. Making sure that we're utilizing that and enforcing what we do have on the books that's good. So,
wow. The forum is coming up in less than a week, and then the election in less than 3 weeks now. Yeah. And we continue to visit with Dr. Matt Hubbard, candidate for Sylacauga mayorship. What are some of the things that you would address first if you're elected as mayor?
Well, there are actually a lot of things, you know, because again, 20 years in leadership and public education, you learn to multitask. So I'll be doing a lot of things, you know, simultaneously. The first thing,
you're not there to hug necks and kiss babies, right?
No, I'm there to get a job done, and I believe my skill set speaks directly to what we need at City Hall right now. Because as I stated earlier, we have a lot of wonderful municipal employees in Sylacauga. And, you know, I just want to make sure that they're receiving the proper leadership from those department heads, and that those department heads are receiving the right guidance and leadership from the mayor. And so it's kind of that trickle down effect with it. And as like I said, you know, if I'm elected mayor, we've got a clean slate. We're coming in. You're going to have that opportunity to build trust, you know, that rapport between the mayor and department head and employee. So, you know, hopefully if this happens, I look forward to that part because that's the relational side of leadership, and that's how I describe my personal leadership side. I'm a relational leader. I like to go in, form those relationships with our employees, build that rapport, build that trust, and then, you know, positive things come from that.
There has been a lot of back and forth at City Hall in the last several years, and how would you address that?
Well, it's, again, going back to being honest, being transparent, being a person of integrity, doing what you say, you know, mean what you say, and do what you say you're going to do. And when you do that, that naturally builds trust with your people, okay? And when people know that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing through your role, they will come to work, you know, with that positive mindset that, okay, the person at the top here, the leader, is doing what he or she's supposed to be doing, and they're going to make sure, you know, because we all have personnel evaluations and all of that, you know, within each organization. So they know, okay, you know, we're back to business here. You know, we're headed in the right direction. The ship is moving, it's moving forward. And so we all get on board and we pull that rope in the same direction. And it's just that leadership through those relationships and making sure that everyone understands, you know, if you're not doing what you are supposed to do within your respective job, that you will be held accountable, and it won't be anything personal. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'll still love you, you know, it's just like a Christian, you know, we hate the sin, love the sinner. I may not like what you've done or whatever it may be that you need to correct as an employee, but we're going to keep moving forward together. We're going to keep, you know, improving and getting better and getting it better for our community, because Sylacauga deserves that type of municipal service.
What do you see, Matt, as some of the needs of the city of Sylacauga?
Well, you know, again, first of all, is taking care of those personnel issues at City Hall. With the right leadership, it's going to save us hundreds of thousands of dollars in litigated.
Now we've spent some money.
Yes, it's well
in litigation.
It's well over $300,000 in just personnel issues being litigated. Now again, with the right leadership from the mayor's office, that is reduced significantly. You know, my goal would be to get that down to zero. Mm-hmm. Because that money needs to be put to better public use. I mean, $300,000, that can go a long way. I'm sure the library would like some of that money. Parks and Rec would like some of that money. You know, that there are a lot of departments who could use some of that money, and it's going to litigate personnel issues, in my opinion, that should have never taken place. So that would be one thing. Now, we have to address flood mitigation, and we've got flood mitigation concerns in each neighborhood. Each neighborhood has some level of flood mitigation concern that has to be addressed, some greater, some smaller. And with that, you have to have like a master plan to address flood mitigation. You've got to have your engineers. You've got to have our people from the municipality here. You've got to have your county folks. And in some cases, it's going to take a DECA with the state coming in and everybody working collaboratively. Downtown, you're going to have ALDOT involved with the flood mitigation to the businesses that are impacted when it floods, you know, just literally right out the door here. So it's just knowing, you know, how to get all of that organized, how to lead those meetings once you get everybody at the table, how to develop an action plan, and then how to follow through and follow up on that action plan, and making sure that you've got it within, you know, a reasonable timeline. And so when you do those things, now look what you can do on the communication side. Now you can be transparent. Okay, we're looking at this neighborhood around this time right here, this neighborhood. And when you're dealing with flood mitigation, the dominoes have to fall in order. If they don't, if this domino down here falls before this one, you may make flooding worse on down the flow there for another neighborhood. So, you know, just knowing and understanding those things and having the ability to get people to the table and then to lead those meetings and discussions and making sure that we're all hitting on the same, you know, issues or concerns.
If elected mayor, how do we address the lack of growth in Sylacauga?
Yeah, okay, so I support annexation for growth, and I support annexation for, when I say growth, I'm talking about population growth, and then for revenue growth as well. Now, again, you look at what's set up, because you have, you know, state regulations, county, municipal. You've got to look at all the legalities that are involved. You never want to infringe on a property owner's rights and those type things. So you've got to be understanding, thoughtful in how you go about, you know, looking at that annexation and so forth. But you know, there are other, see, like Gadsden City, they started an annexation program, if you will, or project a few years ago, and it's been successful. And and Gadsden City did it from the perspective, not necessarily to grow numbers, but from a revenue perspective. Now, I support increasing our industrial, industrial park footprint. I know there are some landowners that, you know, are adjacent to the industrial park that are probably more than ready to make a deal with the city to grow that industrial park footprint.
Are we about out of property as far as that industrial complex is concerned?
That's the information that I have, you know, and so, you know, it would make sense that we're looking to expand that footprint of the industrial park. Now, you know, the more you look at it, the more you think about it, with the city of Sylacauga, we have had some really good leadership through the decades, because it took a good vision decades ago for that industrial park to be located where it is, for that airport to be located where it is. There aren't many Class 6 cities that have an airport like we do. And so you look at how Highway 21 has been developed, and then how Highway 280 continues to be developed, and we have this connection called Fort Williams. And so you can look back and reflect on some of the leadership decisions in the past, and you can see where there was some really good leadership and decisions made back in the day. Our library, we have a world-class library right here in Sylacauga, and you can't tell me that's not a byproduct of great leadership.
Dr. Matt Hubbard, our guest here today, as he is a candidate for mayor and city municipal election coming up on August the 26th. As mayor, if elected as mayor of the city of Sylacauga, what would be your pledge to the citizens of Sylacauga?
Well, it's simple. I lead with integrity, person, an individual leader that you can trust. I'm going to show up. I can dedicate. I'm retired from a 32-year career, and I can dedicate 100% of my time without distraction to the role of mayor in Sylacauga. And I'll just apply all of the experience, all the education, all the training that I have, my certifications, apply all of that knowledge to improving our city, you know, through the proper, you know, procedures and so forth. And, you know, I will have a good working relationship with our city council. I know the majority of all of the candidates who are running for city council, and those that I did not know previously. The foundation is there for a good relationship to be built upon. So I feel as if I'm in the mayor's office, whatever the makeup of that city council, those 5 members there, I'm going to be able to work with all five, whoever that five may be, and make sure that we, begin to improve and make sure that we improve communication and that we're on the same page with each other and there's no trickery or tomfoolery at the last minute in a council meeting, and making sure that those council members are receiving the information they're requesting from the mayor's office and city hall, and that that's an open line of communication and a very transparent line of communication. And that's one of the things that I want to look at, is proposing that we have to begin with, a part-time public relations and communications position, and look at streamlining a lot of those communication channels and making sure that those are transparent. We're getting the information out to the public and so forth. And I also want to look at the possibility of maybe a part-time IT position to start with, or maybe just putting an IT person on retainer, something of that nature, so that like what we're dealing with the phone situation at City Hall, that never happens. If the phones go out, it may be for an hour or two, boom, they're, and they're back on, and communication is flowing freely with the public and our taxpayers and so forth. So just those type things.
You mentioned the phone system. A lot of people don't know it, but there's been ongoing issues with the phone system at City Hall, and that can create real problems.
Yeah, and it needs to be resolved. I mean, it's 2025, and communication should be like that. I mean, it should be streamlined. It should be, you should be able to get to the municipal department that you're seeking information from, without having to jump through all the hurdles. And right now, from what I'm being told, folks can't even can't even contact City Hall. So that's kind of like, just a ship meandering at sea out there. So it's unacceptable.
It appears that you've got the upstairs and you've got the downstairs at City Hall. And it appears that there's been a lot of friction between the two. How do you bring that together? Because everybody's got different personalities, and they think their job is this and their job is that. How, as mayor of Sylacauga, how would you bring all of that together?
Well, it goes back to clear, concise communication with everyone, and everybody understanding his or her role, what those job responsibilities are, what their respective duty is, and then who is actually in charge. Because I think there's over the last couple of years, there's some confusion on who is actually running City Hall and who has the authority and who's doing this. And so when those lines of expectations of leadership, when they're kind of blurred, you get this population of municipal employees over here, and it's just human nature. They're going to be nervous. They're going to be anxious going to work. You start forming cliques and that type thing. And then the negativity, the cancer, if you will, begins to spread through the entire, not just the department, but through entire City Hall, because they don't know who to trust and who's making the decisions. This person's telling me to do this. This one's saying do this. And so you got to get the right hand knowing what the left hand's doing. And someone, and this is the thing, I learned this as an educational leader. If you have to be the bad person to unite your people in a common cause, then that's what you have to do. Now, again, it's never anything personal. It's always professional, and you do it understanding that you want this end result over here. You want your employees to be united and working for the greater good. And if that means they think of you as I don't want them thinking me of the bad person, but if that's what it takes, then that's what it takes. Now, I'm not one of those people that's going to come in here yelling, screaming, hollering, pointing fingers, or you better do this. I'm not a gotcha kind of a leader. I'm a relational leader. I'm going to give you those opportunities to show that you are a professional, and that you do want to come to work and do the job that you signed up to do to provide better services for our city. So just that relational style of leadership and making sure that, this is not just for municipal employees, it's for the city itself, that the city understands that the mayor is in charge and is running and organizing City Hall. And I've got experience in looking at organizational structure. If I'm in the mayor's office and I get in and I see, okay, this organizational structure is dysfunctional, and it's lending itself to some of this dysfunction over here, then you put strategies in place to reorganize and make sure you've got those policies and procedures to meet that new organizational structure to cut out some of this dysfunction on this end. So it's a cause and effect there. You've got to really go in and know what you're looking for, and when you see it or you hear it, you've got to understand, have that skill set and that training to know how to say, okay, this strategy right here is how we, take care of this dysfunction right here. So, just like.
We're spending a few more minutes with Dr. Matt Hubbard, candidate for mayor in Sylacauga city election coming up on August the 26th. As we look at the animal control, animal shelter, that's always in the conversation. And it just seemed like I saw the other day where they had to close because they didn't have enough employees, they didn't have enough workers, and they're overrun with animals. How do you fix all of this?
Again, you look at it from that 30,000-foot view. You've got to get up here and look at all the moving parts to animal control and the animal shelter, because it's two separate issues. Animal control is a beast in and of itself. You've got spay and neuter issues and strategies that you can use. Also on the animal control side, I think we can do a better job of getting the public educated about spay and neutering. I think we can get into the schools and the daycares and the churches and train our youth up understanding about animals and animal control and the importance of animal control. And I think we're doing some of those things. I just think that we can maybe do a little bit more and get that out in front of that youth and grow a generation that understands animal control. Make sure that, again, I touched on ordinances earlier, making sure that we're enforcing the ordinances that we do have on the book through our animal control officer. And then those are just some small things associated with animal control. Because we've got people are dumping. I mean, we got folks from surrounding counties and towns and communities dumping animals in Sylacauga. And then, so those are those issues. And then you have the animal shelter itself. Now, I've been told by a lot of people who know and understand animal control and animal shelter, the answer is not growing or building a larger shelter. It's making sure that what we have is functional, that, the animals have a place where they can stay and it's clean. The workers have that opportunity to go and work in a safe environment. And just, making sure that facility is up to code, the exterior, interior, looking at heating and cooling, the water, the plumbing, making sure that, when they do clean, that the drains, everything's draining properly and not backing up. So it's just doing a full facility assessment out there at the animal shelter and making those corrections and renovations out there to get that facility up to speed.
90 seconds to talk to the voters in Sylacauga about going to polls and vote Matt Hubbard for mayor.
Absolutely. On August 26th, well, first of all, next Thursday on the 14th, I would invite and encourage everyone to come out to J. Craig Community Center for this year's political forum. I believe all 20 candidates are participating. So you'll get to hear 3-minute speeches from your city council representative, a 5-minute speech from the 4 mayoral candidates. And then from that, you have about 12 days. If you haven't already made your mind up yet, I know a lot of people are telling me they've already made their decision and so forth, but I know there's still a lot of undecided voters out there. let's get out to J. Craig. Let's be more informed. And then on August 26th, get to J. Craig. I'll be offering some transportation that I'll have some more information to share later to get folks out to the polls and back to their respective house or living quarters. So just make sure you get out. It's going to be Tuesday, August 26th. And what I want you to understand is that we need change. And I need you to vote for the change that you want to see in Sylacauga. On August 26th, vote Matt Hubbard for mayor, and you will see the change that you want to see.
Matt, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, Jimmy Dale.
Matt Hubbard, candidate for mayor of the city of Sylacauga. That'll do it for me. Thanks for watching.